Welcome into the On3 studios here in Nashville, Tennessee. Today is Wednesday. It is the 1st of May, and we are back talking recruiting here on the Inside Scoop. Great show today. It's a long one for you. Lots to talk about. The transfer portal is going crazy. We're going to break down running back dominoes. They're falling. And also, the Elite 11. We got a behind-the-scenes look, plus a lot more. We're going to have updates on all of it on today's Inside Scoop, so let's get to it. The top 3 running backs in America are off the board, but the rest of the running back dominoes seem like they're about to fall. I got On3's Chad Simmons here to break it all down. Like I said, these running backs, they could all be off the board by the end of summer. Some big commitments coming soon. But first, guys, lock in and hit subscribe to the On3 Recruits channel. We're doing this recruiting thing all offseason long. Jump on board, hit subscribe for me now. All right, let's bring on Director of Recruiting for On3, Chad Simmons. And Chad, it just feels like running back recruiting is heating up. And are we close to seeing a run on backs?
Yeah, Josh, I mean, that time is definitely coming, I think, around the corner. I think, obviously, June is going to be a huge month for OVs for a lot of these guys want to talk about, but I think even a few could pop before they get to those June OVs. So, yeah, you mentioned Harlan Berry to LSU. He's off the board. Keelon Deere to Ole Miss this spring. He's locked in there. Then Gideon Davison, longtime Clemson commit. So who's next? I think we could see somebody pop sooner than later at the running back position.
All right. I got maybe this is going to be more confusing, but maybe it's going to make a whole lot of sense. I'm going to move to the whiteboard. All right. I got a whiteboard here set up. Excuse my handwriting, the whiteboard for now. If we get a lot of views on this, maybe they'll get me an actual video board. So just humor me here. We got who's available. Those are the running backs that are available. And who needs a running back. Teams that need a running back. Chad, let's start with the number 4 running back in America out of the state of Georgia, Usman Kroma. Now, his recruitment has been trending in a couple different directions. How do you see it right now as we are about to get into summer recruiting?
You know, if I had to truly describe his recruitment right now, as of today, the 1st of May, I would say a little bit more open than what it has been the last 6 months, 10 months leading up to this moment. I think, you know, Florida State's always, for a long time, been viewed as the team to beat, the favorite. I think Georgia's come on strong since the running back coach changed there with Justin Crawford. He's from South Georgia. He's coached at a place like Lee County in the past. I think Florida is in the mix there. I think Miami is in the mix there. But I think at one time we thought FSU was close to a slam dunk for Kroma. But right now I think Georgia's very much there near the top. And this one's a little bit more open today than where we've been the last few months with Kroma.
All right, which way you leaning?
You know, I would probably lean slightly towards Georgia if I had to pick one school with the most buzz around it today, but this one could go 3, 4, 5 different ways over the next 2 months.
All right, so we got Georgia, we got FSU for Kroma. Let's move down to Jordan Davison, the number 5 rated running back in America, out of California. Where do we like Jordan Davison? He's coming off of a visit to Oregon, but he's been all over the place.
Yeah, he really has. He's been, I think the consistent schools in this race has been Ohio State, Oregon, Texas, and then Alabama. There's been some Georgia. But I think right now, I like where Ohio State's at. I thought he had a little bit of reservation once Tony Alford left Columbus to go north to Michigan. If you know Jordan, he's huge on relationships, all about guys he connects with, not just about football, but about life outside of football. Tony Alford, Carlos Loughlin, Robert Gillespie, Tashard Choice, those guys have done a great job. But right now, the buzz has been, since he made it to Columbus early in April, around the Buckeyes. He's close to Loughlin, who went from Oregon to Ohio State. You put those two together, I like where the Buckeyes sit right now, Josh.
All right, so for Kroma, we got maybe Georgia, maybe FSU. For Davison, we got maybe Ohio State, maybe Texas. Now, Michael Turner, he's the number 6 rated running back in America, out of the state of Texas as well. Where do you see this domino following?
Right now, I see, Michael Turner staying close to home. I think you mentioned that SMU is less than 45 minutes from home for him. He's been there over half a dozen times. He doesn't go alone. He takes his family, he takes friends. He's very close to Rhett Lashley, the head coach, Kyle Cooper, the running back coach at SMU. They've done a great job making him feel like a priority. And right now, I think the love is the same on both sides. Right now, I have a hard time putting his name on another commitment list. I mean, Baylor's there, Florida, Oklahoma State, Washington, a few other schools in the mix, but SMU is in full command here.
Yeah, we got SMU here for Michael Turner. Now, that would be a heck of an offensive class already with Keelon Russell, one of the top quarterbacks in America, committed to SMU. James Simon, the number 9 running back in America. A couple weeks ago, you would have asked me, I would have said it's a slam dunk for LSU, but now LSU has 2 running back commitments, and it seems like James Simon is trending elsewhere. How do you read his recruitment?
Yeah, I feel like I want to ask you, can I buy a vowel, Josh? It'd be like Vanna White up there and Pat Sajak. I mean, can I buy an E for Texas? I think, for me, LSU is almost in like a matter of time. We were kind of on the countdown a few months ago saying, when will James Simon stay home, join Harlem Berry, and go to LSU?
Yeah.
Things have shifted. Early in April, LSU decided to offer running back JT Lindsey. He committed a few days later. They now have 2 in this class at the running back position. Does Simon want to go be the 3rd running back at LSU? They would take him, no doubt about that. Does he want to be that second guy, that counterpart to Ricky Stewart at Texas? There's other schools involved like Notre Dame, Texas A&M, and Georgia. But since that last visit to Austin earlier this spring, back in April, the Longhorns have been trending. Tashard Choice has done a great job here. He has 1 OV set. That's to Texas for June 21st. And he's mentioned the possibility of committing in the month of May without taking any other trips. I like where Texas sits right now for James Simon.
All right, so interesting because now Texas is in good shape for Jordan Davison and James Simon. Well, 2 running backs in the top 10 that the Texas Longhorns could land. Let's move to the number 10 rated running back in America. He is from American Heritage down in Florida. We're talking about Byron Lewis, who was at the Colorado spring game. But prior to that, you and Steve Wiltfong put picks in for Florida State. How are we feeling about Byron Lewis after this Colorado visit?
Yeah, I still feel the same. Steve led the way there, obviously, with Florida State. FSU's done a great job kind of coming up from behind, I would say, in this race with Byron Lewis. I mean, yeah, the one connection there that nobody else can offer is his former head coach, Pat Surtain, from American Heritage, now coaching at Florida State. Relationships are different. This game's all different now in recruiting with NIL and so many different things out there, but it's still, I think the root of it all is still relationships. And you cannot, that can't be compromised with Pat Surtain and Byron Lewis. And, I think at one time Miami and Ohio State were ahead of Florida State, but FSU just kept chipping away. They had a great season last year. He sees an opportunity to play early at Florida State. He loves Coach Yak, David Johnson, the running backs coach as well at Florida State. And just all of those relationships, I think, really put FSU as the team to beat heading into the summer OVs.
All right, well, if I follow the roadmap, it looks like Florida State is in good shape for a pair of backs as well. You got Byron Lewis and Usman Chroma. We'll see how it works out for the Noles. Let's leave the state of Florida and head to Big Ten country where we got Marquise Davis, one of the top backs in the state of Ohio, and it could be a Michigan-Ohio State battle. How do you see this one playing out?
Yeah, people would think because he's from Cleveland, they do a great job, Ohio State, of keeping those in-state guys at home. But the running back, I think, move going from, again, Tony Alford leaving Ohio State, going up to Michigan, that relationship stayed in place. Michigan was already a school probably at the time of that move in his top 5, I think has now become the team to beat with that connection. He was back in Ann Arbor in April. He likes the new coaching staff. He likes the offensive scheme. And I know he feels more love from Michigan as well. That's great there, Josh. Great presentation. And I think with the love and then the opportunity and just that relationship with Alford and Davis, I like where Michigan sits. Now, I don't think Ohio State's even that top 2 school. I think Kentucky right now, do not sleep on Kentucky. There's some confidence in Lexington that they're right there in the thick of this race. I believe that to be true. I think Michigan leads with Kentucky running second right now for Marquise Davis.
Okay, well, I slept on Kentucky because I didn't even have them in my teams of need. So I'm sorry. Let's move on to De'Ari Hill. Yes, he's an athlete, the number 6 rated athlete in America, but a lot of colleges are projecting him as a running back. What about De'Ari Hill? How do we see his recruitment playing out, Chad?
Yeah, Hill is a true athlete, two-way star in football, plays basketball, AAU as well. That the guy can do about anything and everything on the football field at a skill position. But Oregon, the hot team, the team he was just out to see over the weekend, it is the team with the most buzz around it. Going into the weekend, he had just recently added offers from schools like Ohio State and Ole Miss. He has an OV now locked in with Oregon for June 21st. The only other OV he has right now is June 7th to Illinois. We'll see what happens there. But I think they've come back from that trip. They love the presentation from Dan Lanning in that program. They hit it off with Rashad Samples, the new running backs coach for Lanning at Oregon. And now, from what I understand, their camp is talking commitment date, not adding official visits, but hey, when do we want to make that call? When do we want to put our name on a commitment list? And right now, Oregon is in the best spot for Hill.
All right, well, I think we're about ready to solve the puzzle. We got one more name on here. Really intriguing name, Todd Robinson, number 59 rated running back in America, but out of Valdosta, Georgia, he plays quarterback. So another prospect that we are projecting as a running back, and big-time programs are also picking up on him. Tell me, Chad, about Todd Robinson out of Valdosta, Georgia.
Yeah, this has been fun to watch the last couple of months, Josh. I mean, early in 2024, you're talking about schools like UMass, Georgia Southern, schools on that level for Todd Robinson. Next thing you know, University of Georgia gets him on campus. They offer him a scholarship. Then the floodgates open up. You have Alabama. You have Miami, you have Tennessee, you have all the Arkansas, you have all these major programs offering Todd Robinson, who has offers not like a number 59 prospect at his position would have typically. But like you said, he plays quarterback. He's played that position his entire high school career. So he does have to project as a running back, but he does run the ball a lot. He's 6 feet tall, 190-ish pounds, and Georgia absolutely loves what Todd Robinson brings to the table. And Robinson loves, on the other side, what Georgia offers as a program. I think right now that is the match. You know, Alabama has an OV with him on May 31st. Tennessee has one late in June. Georgia gets him early in June. Right now, with the connection of Justin Crawford, the running backs coach at Georgia, he's from South Georgia. He's coached at Valdosta before. They have that relationship. And then him being in Athens a couple of times, seeing the opportunity there, I think Georgia right now is setting the pace in that race for Todd Robinson.
All right. Well, there you have it. Your easy-to-read roadmap for running back recruiting. Print it out. Put it on the wall. Remember it. This is where they're going. Well, there's a couple options, but easy to read, right? We're going to try it again. You guys do this. Do me a favor right now. Comment section below. How do you think that the running back board is going to work out? Where are the dominoes going to fall? Let us know. Chad kind of laid it out for us, but hey, you might have a different opinion. Comment section below. It's Elite 11 season. The 2024 Elite 11 Finals roster is taking shape. Invites are going out. Can you guys believe the Elite 11 is celebrating its 25th year? In this video, I got director of the Elite 11, Brian Stumpf, on to go behind the scenes of the top QB camp of the offseason. But first, you guys make sure you're locked in. Hit subscribe to the On3 Recruits channel. All right, let's bring on Brian Stumpf from the Elite 11. Now, here's a look at all the invites, 9 of them so far, more to come though, and there's a couple that I want to talk to you about, Brian, and let's just start with one of the hottest names out there right now, Keelon Russell out of Duncanville, Texas, and he's committed early on to SMU, but just this Sunday, Alabama's offered, UF is looking at him, Texas, the Longhorns are involved. What did you see from Keelon Russell at his regional, and are you surprised, or did you expect this type of recruitment to happen?
Yeah, well, first, thanks for having me on, Josh. It's always great to talk about quarterbacks in the Elite 11, something near and dear to our heart, right? And specifically with Keelon Russell from Duncanville, Texas. I think we were anticipating this. We really liked him a lot at the regional last year when we were in Texas, when he came in as an underclassman, super athletic, good frame. And then obviously went out and backed it up with a huge junior year, state title at Duncanville. He has great receivers to throw to, but I think when you put him in this setting at the Elite 11 regional where it's just him and his performance stands on his own, it really gave him the forum to to show his skills. And he's added some good weight from when we saw him. He's up over 185 pounds now.
Yeah.
Great frame. And the trend with quarterbacks, you really have to be athletic at this point, especially if you look at the 6 quarterbacks that just went in the first round of the NFL draft. All those guys can move. All those guys tested well, both when they were in high school and brought a run threat in the run game when they're in college. So Keelon fits that build. He's only getting better. And I think that's what the colleges are catching the scent of. This is a kid who's already really good, but the upside with his athletic frame and thirst for learning, he's going to continue to get better as he gets his feet wet at this position.
Yeah, and you can see college coaches are kind of gaining interest as he puts it all together. Now, one prospect that has put it all together is 5-star quarterback Tavian St. Clair. He committed early to Ohio State, so a lot of recruiting fans might not hear the buzz about Tavian St. Clair because he's locked into Ohio State. But what are the Buckeye fans getting in Tavian St. Clair?
They're getting one of the most polished pocket passers in this year's class, I think, without a doubt. And to your point on, maybe he's not as talked about. I think this past weekend was really some of the first 7-on-7 he's done. So he's not a guy that's out there every weekend and really, current in a lot of rundowns and articles and top performers at various 7-on-7 events and things like that. But again, he performs on the field and performs on Friday Night Lights first and foremost. And he was a guy, again, who popped on our radar last year at the regional. And, I think Coach Ryan Day at Ohio State has a great advantage right now with a son that's also a high school quarterback. So he's been out and been able to see a lot of guys at events the last year or two with his son RJ going out. And he got to see Tavian last year as an underclassman. And I think that really accelerated Ohio State's pursuit of him. He came back and camped again in the summer. And so they got the early dibs on him and him being an in-state guy. I think that was a natural fit for them at the end of the day. But yeah, he's added good weight from last year. He's up to 224, but he moves so well in the pocket. Great base. And again, just his performance at the regional was really one of the best and all around top performances we've seen this spring.
All right, let's go down to Florida where we got 3-star quarterback Tramel Jones committed to Florida State. Now he plays at Mandarin High School. A lot of fans know Mandarin because that's where 5-star wide receiver Jamie French is playing. He's a 3-star, but he made the cut early. What did you guys see from Tramel Jones?
Man, so consistent, so polished. Again, I talked about earlier with Keelon Russell. Plays with great receivers, and you referenced Jamie French for Tramel at Mandarin. Again, he's in this format where it's just him on the day, and he was in a group with some top quarterback prospects there in Oxford, and he dominated that camp from drill 1 to drill 12 as we go through our stations. And very, very rarely when we circle up with our 5 or 6 lead coaches at the end of the event do we have a consensus of, this was the top guy at my station, this was the top guy, and that was Tramel Jones at our Oxford Regional. So really an outstanding performance because, yeah, he's not a guy that you referenced his recruiting rating that's up in the top 5 or 10 for probably anybody at this point. But from what we've seen this far on the tour in the spring, his camp performance has to rank up there in the top 2 or 3 from the standpoint of consistently accurate, great base, always on balance, and being able to deliver both on the move, out of pocket when we ask the quarterbacks to move, but then setting up in the pocket and throwing a strike.
I was looking at some of the names from the recent Atlanta regional, and it's just absolutely loaded. So it got me thinking, which regional so far has been the most competitive?
Yeah, the Atlanta one obviously is fresh in our minds, coming back off that flight late Sunday night, and that being a great group with Julian Lewis and Bryce Baker leading the way, but several other strong performances, and there'll be guys in that event as we circle back and fill out the field for the Elite 11 finals that certainly will be in strong conversation. And then I think the Austin, Texas regional as well. It was our second stop back in late March. Texas is obviously a great state for quarterbacks, especially in the last 10 to 15 years, has honestly surpassed California in terms of the number of both college and NFL quarterbacks they've produced down there in that state. So only having one regional in that area, in that part of the country, we know that the Texas stop is always going to be loaded, and the Austin camp did not disappoint this year.
No disappointments there. So we're sitting at 9 invites so far, and they're going to add more. How many more are we looking to add, and what are you looking for in these final invites?
Yeah, absolutely. We'll end up taking 20 quarterbacks for the Elite 11 finals, and we've been at that number now, I think, for the past 4 or 5 years. We like that number. It's an even number, but it also gives a lot of guys a chance to come out and compete. So we'll fill out those last 11 spots as we go through both our final 2 regionals coming up. in Las Vegas on May 5th, and then we'll have our last stop in State College, Pennsylvania on May 19th. And then when we come out of that last regional camp, we'll get together as a group and work back through all the kids we've seen and fill out that field. So typically I think the last few years have come out of that last camp with usually 11 or 12 guys in. So we have a good group, and obviously we've seen a bunch of great quarterbacks already this year. So we'll have a really great selection for the finals this year in terms of the field of quarterbacks to choose from. And what we're looking for guys that first and foremost have done it on Friday nights. We always want the film from the fall to be our North Star, right? We don't want to do a camp for the best campers, if that makes sense. Yeah. We want to take the best quarterbacks in the country based on what we saw from their film in the fall, and then combining that with an in-person workout at the regional. So obviously 17-year-olds can get a lot better from the end of their season in November to when we're seeing guys now in April and May. So it's always great to get out and do these regionals and see a guy like a Tramel Jones who pops up where, I think previously some of the narrative might have been that, hey, he's feeding it to a 5-star receiver, and, is he really that kind of player? And I think we saw at the regional, and that's why we love to get out and do them. This kid's game speaks for itself and stands on its own 2 feet. And so we're excited to get guys like Tramel Jones out to compete at the Elite 11 finals.
All right, Brian, when is the Elite 11 finals, and what's the best way for fans to follow along?
Yeah, absolutely. We'll be obviously pushing out content from all of our social handles at Elite 11, and then working with great partners as we head towards the event for coverage on that front. And we'll be executing the Elite 11 finals this year, June 18th through June 20th out here in Southern California, with 20 of the top quarterbacks in the country. So we're fired up and looking forward to these final 2 regionals to fill out that field.
Yeah, and look forward to having you back on once the field is kind of filled out. We can kind of preview the finals. But for now, appreciate your time dropping by the Inside Scoop. I know you guys got a lot of action going on over there.
Thank you for having us on, Josh. Appreciate it.
Keelon Russell out of Duncanville, Texas, is the quarterback that everyone is talking about this offseason. Russell could be a key piece to the remaining QB dominoes, but if somebody wants him, they're going to have to flip him from SMU. We got Billy Embody here from On the Pony Express to break down the hottest recruitment in the country. But first, hit subscribe to the On3 Recruits channel. Lock in. We talk recruiting all offseason long. Hit subscribe for me, please. All right, let's bring in Billy Embody. Now, Billy, how was SMU able to identify and then lock down an early commitment from Keelon Russell, who now is a top 10 quarterback in America?
Yeah, the secret got out about Keelon Russell after the 2022 season when he led Duncanville to that state championship, the first of back-to-back. SMU saw him that season, as many people did, and they ended up offering him later on in 2023 and really honing in on him over the course of the spring. And he emerged as a top 100 prospect at that Under Armour Dallas camp back in the spring of 2023. SMU turned up the heat from there. It was really Keelon Russell and Ty Hawkins who ended up committing to TCU. Mm-hmm. The Mustangs, over the course of the summer, just kept chipping away, getting him on campus, and really catching his eye. And ultimately, as they moved into the ACC with that news coming that they were going to move in, they were able to get him on board. It was Rhett Lashley. It was former SMU staffer Keenan Hall, Johnny Brewer, the former quarterbacks coach, now at Duke. A bunch of SMU people were involved in this one, recruiting him to get him to commit, and now it's about holding on to him.
Yeah, and holding on to him is not going to be easy because the Sharks are circling. And when I say Sharks, I'm talking Texas, Florida, and most recently on Sunday, Alabama Crimson Tide offer. How do you view the competition, and who do you see as like maybe the biggest threat right now to SMU?
Yeah, there's two schools that I'm really keeping the most attention on right now, and that's now Alabama with their offer. Keelon's been pretty adamant that he would like to, at some point, really look at playing on a massive stage. And when I think about the programs that have been involved in this recruitment, it's really Alabama and now Texas, with their college football playoff appearance. But we are watching, obviously, Texas's quarterback situation, so they might not end up pressing for Keelon Russell. But that Alabama offer is a big one. It's an eye catcher for him. Those are the 2 schools that I'm watching closely. He's fresh off that Ole Miss official visit that went well. They've been recruiting him for a while. SMU beat out Ole Miss in the fall when they took his commitment. And then Florida, they'll have to weather that official visit later on as well. But Alabama and Texas are the big ones for me right now.
All right, so take us behind the scenes of this recruitment. How does the SMU staff feel about Keelon Russell's commitment? You know, he's being recruited, he's taking some visits. Is SMU confident? What are your sources saying?
Rhett Lashley is really taking a big role in this recruitment, along with new quarterbacks coach De'Eric King. And he's a guy that has played in SMU's offense very recently and played for Rhett Lashley. And so those two are really tag teaming it, as well as the entire staff really trying to make sure he knows how wanted he is. Another big key in this recruitment for SMU that they haven't really done much of over the course of this NIL era is how will NIL play a factor from SMU's angle. And that's something that I still think is a card that they are going to play at some point over the course of this recruitment, as it gets down to that time where Keelon's going to make a final decision. And he wants to do that before his senior season. Mm-hmm. But SMU is feeling pretty good about where they stand. They know it's Alabama, it's Texas, it's some big schools around the country. But SMU is really showing him, look, you can stay home and be a star. Look at what some of the quarterbacks have done in Rhett Lashley's offense. He is your head coach, he's your play caller, and he is going to work hand in hand with De'Eric King to make sure you can be that guy and go to SMU and be a hometown hero. And you see all the support that Duncanville players get for winning a state championship and winning it in their backyard at AT&T Stadium. That's what SMU is pitching to Keelon Russell. And they know he can be an instant impact type of player for him. They feel good about keeping him. They've just got to go through these visits and try to come out all clear on the other side of them.
Yeah. 5 years ago, I might have asked you, can SMU weather these visits that Keelon Russell's about to take? But in 2024, I mean, let's just get to it. Can SMU weather the NIL offers that could be coming Keelon Russell's direction?
Yeah, that's the funny thing about Keelon Russell is I think SMU staff would still like him to be this, kind of well thought of middle of the road 4-star rather than an ascending top 100, quite honestly, probably in the conversation for a 5-star, as your top 100 player at the quarterback position, you're at least sniffing around there, at least going into your senior season. They'd rather be a little bit more low key. But that is the thing about SMU is they've done so well in the transfer portal with NIL. Mm-hmm. They have a massive collective that has really stepped up over the course of the last few years, both acquiring talent and retaining talent. And SMU is now going to start turning that attention to high school players because, look, they're in the ACC now. That's something that SMU hasn't been able to say. They're now a Power 4 program, and they've spent all the money on facilities. That box is checked. $120 million end zone complex opens this fall. They can now really hone in on some of those donations going to NIL, and of course, we'll see how revenue sharing goes on top of that. But SMU is going to make a competitive proposal or the collective or however you want to frame it to Keelon Russell and his family and his camp, because he's a guy they really feel like they need to keep. And we know that pockets are deep across the country, but SMU has some pretty deep pockets as well. So they're going to make a competitive offer, I would feel like.
Yeah, I believe it. I've heard that SMU does have what it takes NIL-wise to battle for a guy and maybe potentially hold on to Keelon Russell. So that leads me to my next question. Billy, what's your prediction? Stick or flip here ultimately with Keelon Russell and SMU?
Yeah, we'll have to reconvene in June, of course, because you never know on this type of stuff. But I just feel like there's been so much buzz around when is he going to back off? When is he going to back off? And he hasn't yet. And some big offers have come his way. He's taken some pretty big visits. And at this point, I'm leaning towards sticking. And it'll be, honestly, Alabama, Texas. Those will be the two schools that I really watch closely to see what they do. If Alabama offers more quarterbacks, if Texas ultimately does have a spot for him, that's what I'm watching for in this quarterback domino world to see if that ultimately changes how I feel. But right now, I lean towards stick. They've done a nice job getting him on campus and showing him he's a priority. And they haven't even played, that NIL card either.
Yeah, right now, Rhett Lashley standing in the middle of the boxing ring, just throwing haymakers with Texas and the top teams in the nation. Now, all of a sudden, Alabama runs into the ring. Now they got to fend off Bama. Boy, not an easy task. So when is Russell going to be back on campus at SMU?
Yeah, SMU is hosting a ton of top 100 prospects May 17th. Keelon Russell will be among them. It's going to be one of the biggest recruiting weekends of the summer, especially for SMU. That'll be a time where they're going to have about 20 prospects on campus, numerous 4-stars. So they're hoping that by the time he gets to campus, they've maybe settled some things a little bit. I don't know if that'll be the case, but they're going to have a chance to make their pitch and continue to prioritize them and all those things. May 17th, it'll be a massive weekend for SMU.
All right, you guys are the experts. Tap in below, comment section. Do we think Keelon Russell's going to flip? Is he going to stick to SMU? Let me know, comment section below. Billy Embody, appreciate you dropping by today on the Inside Scoop and talking about one of the hottest quarterbacks on the market.
Anytime, Josh. Thanks for having me.
We got a special guest on the Inside Scoop, Devin Driscoll from D1. Yeah, you guys have heard of the training facility D1. Well, D1 is the presenting sponsor of the 2024 On3 Elite Series right here in Nashville at the end of May. And we got D1 Knoxville owner Devin Driscoll here. Let's bring him in. Devin, why are you excited to engage with some of the best athletes at the NIL Elite Series here in Nashville?
We're just excited to be around, athletes that we're very lucky to be around these type of athletes every day, and to be around the best of the best. It just, it exudes exactly what D1's about, which is helping each athlete reach their fullest potential and get it. And this is a great opportunity for us to come back to some of our athletes in our facilities, some of those middle school kids, and get to kind of share the stories of athletes that have already kind of pursued their career and getting to where they want to be. So I think it's always good to be around the top level athletes, and it's great brand ID for D1 on a national scale. And we're just really excited to be part of the event and working with On3.
Yeah, and so talk about D1 a little bit more. How does this help put you guys kind of on that national radar?
So, the D1 Hardin Valley is a presenting sponsor. We're based in Knoxville, Tennessee. It's one of our highest performing facilities. We have 105 facilities currently open in the U.S.
Wow.
In the next 24 months, we look for that to almost triple. So we're really excited about our growth as a national brand. Our founder, Will Bartholomew, played football at University of Tennessee. His son plays at Vanderbilt, and he's got an up-and-coming quarterback to keep an eye on, Mac Bartholomew. And so what we believe in at D1 is we try to inspire athletes to reach their fullest potential. And so for us, anytime we get to associate with the best athletes in the country and a company like On3 that's just growing at such a rapid rate, it's a great synergy, we believe, for us, our brand, and all our facilities across the country. And D1 Hardin Valley is known for being one of the top performers in our company when it comes to we decide for scholastic athletes. And so we've got athletes like Eli Owens, Chaz Smith, Shavar Young, who already get 3- and 4-star ratings on your platform. So we want to get those guys even more exposure, and we think this opportunity to work with you guys just helps not only us but our athletes.
Yeah, you guys do an incredible job, and some of the best when it comes to elite athletes trains at D1. Now, I heard that you guys are bringing in some partners here when it comes to sponsors. So why are they getting involved, and do you want to disclose a few of them right now? I don't know if you can.
Yeah, a really useful piece of advice I got years ago from a buddy of mine was the best way in business to grow your business is to make someone else's business more profitable, make them more money. And so when I look at our partners, my objective is to help them grow their brand far above what they're asking from us. And so and I think that's what's been so great working with Grant and the team at On3 is they're willing to do whatever it takes to help us, and likewise. And this past end of Q4 this past year, we signed a national agreement with Prime Hydration Drink, the fastest growing drink in the hydration space. Unbelievable team they've got over there. Obviously, they got a lot of national attention with guys like Logan Paul and Patrick Mahomes. But now, with what we're working with them is they're in every one of our facilities. And so they're actually going to be sponsoring the workout we provide on site with pre-workout, intra-workout, and post-workout drinks for the athletes. And so we're really excited to have them be part of this. We have some more that we're going to be announcing over the next couple of weeks we're excited about. But that's the first one we can announce today. And I think it's a perfect fit with On3 and D1 and everything we're doing moving forward.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what you guys bring to the event. Now, actually, talk to me about the morning of the event. I'm hearing that there's a 6 a.m. workout. What do you think the reaction is going to be to that?
A lot of prime pre-workout. No, I think that the biggest thing we're trying to provide for these athletes is give them the D1 experience, right? Our company is based upon a Division I program. Like you go into our weight room, you go into our turf. It's what athletes, whether it be collegiate, high school, middle school, or even like moms and dads that did it before. Like we want to give them that experience. So the same is going to parlay to this event. We just want to be able to capture as much content with these athletes, providing that D1 experience as we can. And hopefully when they go back to this, wherever they're from, and their friends, family, and kids that look up to them ask, like, where's the best place for me to go to hopefully get to the level you're at? Without a question in their mind, they say D1.
All right. Well, Devin Driscoll, can't wait to see you guys at the event. We'll be there at the end of May on 3 NIL Elite Series here in Nashville. Can't wait to get there.
Thank you, sir.
Well, you've made it to the end of today's video, but there's hundreds more videos on the On3 Recruits channel for you to check out. And also, while you're here, hit subscribe.